channel. So, today what we are going to talk about? Why surfing in the internet? I found an interesting topic for us today. So, did you ever heard or know about the nuclear power reactors? Maybe some of you had heard about it, and maybe some of you is not familiar about it. Then, let me tell you about power nuclear reactor. A nuclear power plant or nuclear power station is a thermal power station in which the heat source is a nuclear reactor. The heat is used to generate steam, which drives a steam turbine connected to an electric generator, which produces electricity. The nuclear reactor is the heart of the station. In its central part, the reactor core's heat is generated by controlled nuclear fission. Since nuclear fission creates radioactivity, the reactor core is surrounded by a protective shield. From the outset, there has been a strong awareness of the potential hazard of both nuclear criticality and release of radioactive materials from generating electricity with nuclear power. As in other industries, the design and operation of nuclear power plants aims to minimize the likelihood of accidents and avoid major human consequences when they occur. There have been 3 major reactor accidents in the history of civil nuclear power, which are 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and Browns Ferry. So, did you all curious and want to know more about the incident, right? Now, let's dig more into each of the incidents that had happened, but not from me. Today, I have my special friends who will explain more about the incident. Let's meet them.
Do you know about the Chernobyl disaster? Okay, let me tell you a short brief about the Chernobyl disaster. Chernobyl disaster it refers as a Chernobyl accident, and it was a catastrophic nuclear accident in 26 April 1986 in a number 4 nuclear reactor in a Chernobyl power plant. So, why not you watch a video for more understanding about the Chernobyl disaster. The World War civilian nuclear disaster took place when a reactor exploded at the Chernobyl power plant in Ukraine, then part of the Soviet Union. Present-day Belarus received 60% of the initial fallout. The radioactive cloud spread further to cover most of Europe. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant was one of the Soviet Union's most advanced facilities. The first 2 reactors became operational in the late 1970s. The first reactor was the newest, going online in 1983. On April 26, 1986, technicians prepared to test the backup cooling system in reactor number 4, but the routine safety drill went horribly wrong. A nuclear reactor is like a giant steam engine. Uranium fuel rods react to produce a massive amount of heat that converts water into steam, which drive huge turbines to generate electricity. Control rods are inserted in between the uranium to slow the reaction, and it's crucial for cooling water to be pumped around the core to prevent overheating. But as the test began, almost all of the control rods were removed, and technicians lost control of the flow of coolant. Temperature soared and extreme heat began to melt the core. At 1:23 a.m., Reactor 4 exploded. It spewed 8 tons of radioactive debris into the atmosphere. 115,000 people were evacuated from a 30-kilometer zone around the plants. The battle to put out the fire inside lasted for 15 days. More than 500,000 military and civilian personnel were drafted to deal with the accident and its aftermath. 31 of the initial firefighters and plant workers died within days from acute radiation sickness. The toxicity of radioactive cloud was equivalent to 400 Hiroshima atomic bomb explosions. Crews hastily built a concrete sarcophagus to encase the entire reactor to prevent more radiation from spreading. Inside, there remained 200 tons of radioactive fuel. The remaining three reactors continued to operate due to energy shortage in Ukraine. It wasn't until the year 2000 that the Chernobyl complex was completely shut down. With the concrete sarcophagus crumbling, the international community began to build a new confinement structure for Reactor 4. It stands 110 meters tall, higher than Statue of Liberty, and is wide enough to fit a ship the size of Titanic. At a projected cost of $3 billion, construction is scheduled for completion in 2017. One of Chernobyl's iconic right angle Hawaii chimneys will be dismantled and the massive steel dome will slide over reactor number 4. The confinement structure is expected to last for at least 100 years.
Hi guys, have you ever heard of 3 Miles accident? Yes, exactly. The most serious accident in US commercial nuclear power plant operating history. Although its more radioactive reduction had no detectable health effect on plant workers or the public, its aftermath brought about sweeping changes involving emergency response planning, reactor operator training, human factors engineering, radiation protection, and many other areas of nuclear power plant. It also caused the NRC to tighten its regulatory oversight. All of these changes significantly enhanced US reactor safety. What is actually 3 Mile Island? 3 Mile Island Nuclear Generating Station, better known as TMI, is a nuclear power plant located on 3 Mile Island in Londonderry Township, Pennsylvania, on the Susquehanna River just south of Harrisburg. It has two separate units, TMI-1 and TMI-2. Both consist of pressurized water reactor. So next, we have prepared a very interesting video that will give you so much more information regarding the incident. So enjoy!
Civil defense officials are urging you to take cover.
Please stay indoors with your windows closed.
In March of 1979, Americans awoke to a nuclear nightmare.
The potential is there for the ultimate risk of a meltdown at the 3 Mile Island atomic power plant outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
In the worst case, a massive amount of radioactive material would be spewed into an area 5 to 10 miles in diameter and 20 miles downwind.
The president tried to quell the panic.
The president's trip here was a dramatic gesture.
Within the next few days, important decisions will be made.
But the accident had fundamentally changed the nuclear power industry.
What we have to do is to call for an end to the nuclear age in its entirety.
Now, more than 3 decades after 3 Mile Island cast a shadow on the atomic dream, is America again ready to embrace the promise of nuclear power?
Well, if we don't have nuclear, it's going to be a much hotter planet.
Alright, we're moving to the next power plant disaster, which is the Brown Ferry Fire.
The Brown Ferry nuclear power plant. The primary causes of it are the use of polyurethane to seal the holes in the wall between the cable spreading room and the control room and reactor building. And also the use of a candle to check the resealed portions of the wall. Polyurethane is then determined as an extremely flammable material that is then being prohibited to be used at nuclear power plant. Using a candle to check for air leaks was another practice common in nuclear power plants in the 1970s. However, this technique was extremely risky, and as evident in the Browns Ferry accident, could easily ignite a fire. The use of combustible non-metallic cable and poorly designed safety features, including the total flooding system and emergency cooling system, also enabled the fire to be spread.
Okay, enough about the disasters. So how about the safety? But what is nuclear safety actually means?
It is actually determined as the achievement of proper operating conditions, prevention of accidents, or mitigation or accident consequences, resulting in protection of workers, the public, and the environment from undue radiation hazards. By regulation, the design of the nuclear reactor must include provisions for human error and equipment failure. Nuclear plants in the Western world use a defense-in-depth concept, which is a system with multiple safety components, each with backup and designed to accommodate human error. The component includes control of radioactivity, maintenance of core cooling, and maintenance of barriers that prevent the release of radiation. Safety is also important for the workers of nuclear power plants. Radiation doses are controlled via the following procedures, which is, for example, the handling of equipment via remote in the core of the reactor, physical shielding, limit on the time a worker spends in area with significant radiation levels, and also monitoring of individual doses and of the work environment. Measures that we have to put into action in order to ensure safety during unusual events can be summarized as we need to shut down the operating reactor, cool down reactor so as to remove heat from nuclear fuel, and the last one is to contain radioactive materials.
So, did you clear with the explanation from them? I guess you all had understand. For the conclusion is, no industry is immune from accidents, but all industry learn from them. While nuclear power plants are designed to be safe in their operation and safe in the event of malfunction or accident, no industrial activity can be represented as entirely risk-free. Incident and accident may happen, and as in other industry, what is learned will lead to a progressive improvement in safety. Those improvements are both in new design and in upgrading of existing plants. Let's hope for the best to all of the human mankind. I guess we have to stop now, but don't worry, let's meet again with more exciting topics from me. That's all from me for today. Bye bye.